Welcome back to the Hangar, everybody. This is episode 5 of the Hangar Podcast with me, Miguel Navarro, and my boy, Luke Steinman. Luke, what do you got to say to the people for episode 5?
Dude, we're happy to be here. Excited to be here. Can't wait.
We're-
Can't wait.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to talk ball. I mean, every single day, we're inching closer and closer to spring training, bro. And that's when me and Luke are about to take off, bro. This was just the trailer for what's about to come in the MLB season, man. I'm excited. There's a lot. I mean, actually, there's really not a lot to talk about. Right now, we're in a very dead period. But it's almost a unique time because there's still so many names that need to sign. Like, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. And speaking of people signing, the first thing we want to talk about today, Haseong Kim, he's finally off the board. Luke, I want to know your opinion on that.
I love Haseong Kim. I love him as a player. As a guy, I always wanted the Mariners to get, but of course, the Mariners can't ever spend money at all. You know what's bad when the Rays spend money and the Mariners can't. I know the same thing. Like it happened earlier today, and like all the comments are like, "Oh, Padres, blah blah blah." But it's a great get for the Rays. Like they're a very young team, and they're you know how they always are. They're always going to be in contention just because their farm system's so good, one of the best in baseball. And I think moving forward, they'll have like the best farm system in baseball. And this is a good gift for them for the next 2 years. Like they really needed a shortstop. I mean, since we know what happened with their shortstop situation a few years ago.
It can go without being said. We can go without being said. All I'm gonna say is hide your children.
Hide your children.
Hide your children.
Especially if they're 13. But it's a great gift for them. They had Tyler Wells playing shortstop for them. Ugh, you didn't know who he was. I read you his stat line before we were talking about this, and
really?
He was like, he was not excited. But it's just a really good gift for them. Like he's not gonna do anything crazy with the bat. He's a really defensive player first, but he's like a Gold Glove. You can play him at short, second. You can play him all over the infield, and it's just a good floor raiser for the Rays, which is he's like the most Rays player that I could think of. So great gift for them.
Yeah, I think Luke had a very good point. You know, the Rays, they had an issue with shortstop, right? Taylor Walls, not a great hitter at all. I mean, just look at the slash line. You want to know what a bad slash line looks like? If everything in the slash line starts with 2. And that's exactly what Taylor Walls' slash line looked like. Haseong Kim's going to come. He's going to improve the bat, improve, their issue with offense at shortstop. And he's going to play amazing defense. And something that I also like for the Rays is we know how versatile the Rays love to be. I think Haseong Kim provides that. He's able to play second. He's also able to play third. Coming off an injury, we'll see how he's able to respond with that. It's going to be, some guys are able to come back strong. Some guys take a little while, but for the Rays, having it be a 2-year contract, they give him the flexibility to, adapt back into the game, get back in his rhythm. And then we always know what the Rays love to do. At some point, I expect Haseong Kim to get traded. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. But a trade is probably coming because the Rays don't like keeping their players for their full term. But I like the move for Kim. I think he waited a while, probably longer than he would have, liked to get signed. But, coming off an injury, like I said, it's tough. This is a guy, though, man, that, like, in 2023, he had a WAR of 5.8. He had 17 bombs. He played amazing defense. He was 14th in the MVP discussion that year. So, like, you can argue, he was a top 15 player in the National League that year, based off just that. So, I mean, it's a cheap contract. It's nothing crazy. And, like, with it only being 2 years, a lot of flexibility on the contract. Great get for the Rays, like Luke said, man.
Yeah, I mean, just being like in 2022, he had a 4.9 WAR, and in 2023, he had a 5.8 WAR. And if you're doing that, putting up an OPS plus of 105 and 107, like, dude, you're a good player. You play really good defense, and it really can impact the team, and especially for the Rays. And they don't need like out of the world bats. They just need league average bats. Like they were one of the worst offenses last year, so being able to get someone like this is perfect. What they need.
Okay. And staying on the Rays specifically, obviously last year, not the Rays' specialty, and they were, I believe, under 500, if not like treading water there, barely around the 500 mark. And I think for the Rays, a lot of what they're building right now is coming off of young talent, right? And some guys that I'm really excited about in Tampa Bay. Christopher Morel, I really like him. I like, there's just something about him. Maybe his stats don't scream superstar, but like his presence on the field, the way he plays the game so hard. I like Christopher Morel, and I think that given the right opportunities, he could put together a nice year. But someone I'm really high on, and I hope I don't butcher his name, Junior Caminero. Caminero. I'm
Yeah,
sorry if I
I think you,
butchered,
I think you got
but
it.
guy's a stud. Guy's a stud. If you guys know anything about Winter League baseball, this is a guy that just hit the go-ahead home run in the Winter League, man. Like this guy's he's got raw power. He hits the ball. He has a crazy arm. Like this, I think that he has the potential to be a superstar in this league. And then we
Mhm.
obviously you still mix in some of those veterans like Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lau. Like it's not a like you go ahead and look at their depth chart right now, Luke. It's not a horrible lineup. It's really not. It's an okay
Mhm.
team.
It'll be interesting to see what they do this year. I think their lineup will. It's not really deep, and the bench is kind of horrible. But it's the Rays, I mean, they have such a good pitching staff, and getting Shane McClanahan back this year.
Ooh, big.
I don't think they're going to be fighting for any like playoff spot or like going deep in the playoffs, even if they do make it. But it'll be interesting to see what they do off last year because their offense, I was like the second worst in baseball. Like they were bad all around last year, besides like few guys pitching. But other than that, like that team was horrible. So
Right.
that'll be interesting to see. Also, speaking of him, did you see the celebration he did for that home run? That would took him like forever to go
Oh
around the
my
bases.
god. Have you seen the picture of like the wide shot and the bat is like a good 30 feet in the air, bro?
Yeah.
That has got to be one of the greatest bat flips I've ever seen in my entire life. Shout out Junior because that guy's a stud. And honestly, man, if he's throwing a bat that high in the air, he seems like a pretty strong guy.
Yeah, it was so funny. They just like he did it, and it was just like celebrating with his teammates. Like he didn't even round first yet. He just
Love
losing
that
his
dude.
shit. Like love it.
Dude, honestly, man, maybe not to that extent. I know we're getting
Oh
a little off topic.
wait! Sorry, I don't mean to
What's
interrupt
going
you.
on? What's going on? What's going on?
Breaking trade from Jeff Passan. The Cincinnati Reds are finalizing a trade to acquire left-handed reliever Trevor Rogers from the Giants.
Oh, okay.
The
A move. Hey, the Reds.
Hey,
How about him?
first move ever on the show as we are recording.
Wow, that I was like, I thought something crazy happened. I'm
It
glad.
would be
That's actually
cool.
cool.
It'd be cool if something crazier happened, but it is still like a good
A
gift for
move's a
the
move. A move's a move.
moves
You
and
know.
moves.
So moving on. I mean, we could kind of talk about that a little bit. The Cincinnati Reds. They made some under the radar moves this offseason, right? They
Hmm.
went out. They got Gavin Lux. They got Brady Singer. They just traded for Trevor Rogers. I know they just recently made a move. I'm blanking on the name. Oh, Austin Hayes. They just gone out got Austin Hayes as
Oh, they did?
well.
I didn't even
Yeah,
see that.
and they got Trevor Rogers right now. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
they're getting some vets that are pretty, decent. Not
That NL
bad.
Central is really open, especially with the Brewers kind of not selling, but getting rid of like a Devin Williams and stuff like that. Like that is definitely a wide open not a wide open division, but it's definitely more open than like the NL East. So it'll be interesting to see like they're putting their chips forward, and I love it. I love a team
I
that's
love it.
competitive. They have a good young core. Of course, they have Ellie, and I love when teams are competitive and trying to be competitive and go make a playoff,
Oh
go to
yeah,
the
for
playoffs.
sure.
So great gift for them, and it's just a reliever arm. It's something out of this world, but it's just depth and
Okay.
losing that one reliever. Something was his name Fernando Cruz to the Yankees
All right. Yep.
when they had the Jose Trevino trade, which was an odd trade. I don't ever
Yeah,
get
he was
that for
honestly
the.
one of their better arms too, which is weird.
Yeah, he had like the third highest strikeout rate in baseball or something ridiculous like that. I know he had like command issues and was kind of older, but that trade was weird. But I mean, I love it for the Reds. They're going all in, so
Yeah.
I always appreciate team doing that.
Oh, I love it. I love if a team's trying to get better. Like we got to start. It sucks that it's gotten to this point. We're almost at a point where we need to start like promoting it and being more excited about it. So I'm glad they go out and they do something like this. They get a nice arm there. And something about the Reds is like when we talk about the Oakland A's, we were like, okay, we got like a Brent Rooker and a Lawrence Butler. Like these guys hit bombs. Like you're kind of like, okay, they're building something. They got some guys that can really rake. I think the Cincinnati Reds also have some of those like guys that you kind of like see their highlights and some of the home runs they're hitting. Like bro,
Hmm.
Jake Fraley, Will Benson, these guys mash. And if you look at their lineup with some of the depth, they actually have pretty decent depth in their lineup. If a guy like
Yeah.
a Will Benson can put together a great year, if a guy like a Stuart Fairchild can put it together a pretty solid year, like we're looking at something pretty special with them, like being able to develop and obtain players. Finally, the Reds are doing something, and I
Mm.
love their rotation. Like on paper, it's not bad. Like Hunter Green, he's becoming the real deal. Brady
Mm.
Senior, he's as consistent as they come. You know, Nick Martinez, he's coming off a great year, and then now you have some of those young guys coming up. Rhett Lauder, Nick Lodolo, you know, like these there's some names.
Mm.
There's some guys in their organization right now.
Yeah, and their big issue these past, especially this past year, was I remember like, going into the season they had a lot of depth in the infield. Like, oh, they have like an odd man out, and then
Yep.
they just got ravaged by injuries, and they've made it very apparent this offseason that they're not going to let that happen to them again. And I love it. I love it.
I
Good for
love it.
them.
It's good for them. And quick point real quick. The NL Central, Luke said, wide open. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. That's why I'm so excited for the season to start, Luke, because like I cannot wait to do a podcast like middle of June and we're like, you know, like, hey, the Reds are like 3 games up in the Central right now. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm excited for that. So also, I want to give ourselves some props because we have a little bit of like, it's almost like a script. Not like a script, but we write down our topics. The Cincinnati Reds were not at all what we were going to discuss today. So I'm
Mm.
proud of us for being able to, you know, adapt and talk ball.
And,
That's what
oh,
real ball knowers do.
Super Bowl owners do. Also, another NL Central move we haven't mentioned, and I forgot to tell you, Ryan Presley to the Cubs.
Big move.
That's a
Big
great
move.
gift. That's a great gift for
Wow.
them because their bullpen, not it's
Atrocious.
bullpen was not it's not
Atrocious.
it was atrocious, but they got some pieces. They got that one guy from the what's his name from the I almost said Commanders, Guardians. What's his name? Fuck, what I was saying his name
Guardians. Smith, right? Something like that.
something Smith. I was saying it
We're
at
gonna
work in
figure
my
this
head the
out
other
for the
day.
people here.
Um,
All right, we got Peter
yeah,
Hodge, Nate Pearson, Tyson Miller. Tyson Miller.
I think so. But
Yep.
they really need a guy to get the like just a bona fide closer to help that rotation the bullpen out. And Ryan Presley's been one of the more consistent arms the past few years. He kind of fell off the end of last year, but but he has just such history of being good and being
Hmm.
able to close the ninth. So and it's just as the one though I think it's like last year's deal anyway. I think so. It doesn't negatively affect the Cubs at all. Like
Yep.
they have they got Kyle Tucker for a year. They're going all in this year, and I love it. They have the pitching staff to do it, and now they're putting some piece on offense, and like that NL Central is going to be. I think we're saying it's wide open, but they're teams are building up, and I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a really competitive race this year between the Brewers, Reds, and
And
the
the Cubbies
Cubs.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, for
Mm.
sure. And something that I really like about Ryan Presley is it's always nice to get a good reliever, a lockdown guy. But it's even better to get a lockdown reliever that has pitched in the big games, got in the final outs of a World Series. Like these are guys that you could throw them in to any scenario and they've been there, done that. And like I love that idea. I think that's something that needs to be valued, right?
Mm.
Obviously some guys can't control if they're able to pitch in some of the big games. You know, they do the best they can, right? But in some of these situations, like Ryan Presley, he's been given the opportunity to pitch the big games, and he's been locked down even in the big games. He's pitched some of the best situations a reliever can be in, right? He's pitched in the
Mm.
World Series, he's pitched in the Championship Series, he's gotten the final outs. I love that for the Cubs because the Cubs have always lacked inconsistency with some of their arms. Like I remember a couple years ago, a guy Albert Alazoy, they tried to build him up into a closer, and a guy
Mm.
like that, it's almost like he just crumbled in those big situations. And they have another young reliever by the name of Porter Hodge, excuse
Poor
me.
Hodge.
He's the real deal. He looks
Mm.
really good. He's got great stuff plus fastball. And being able to throw him and Ryan Presley together in that eighth or ninth inning, that's really nice. That's locked down, man. That's what you
Yeah.
want.
And bullpen will always be better when you have guys go into the slot they need to go into. Like Porter Hodge, yes, is really good, and maybe could close the ninth right now. But you'd rather much have him in the eighth or seventh or eighth
Yep.
inning. And so just getting a guy like that just always helps the bullpen. Just always puts people down in the spots. Like I know my Mariners, because there's a team I watch all the time. They had that issue like last year where they had injuries happen. So they had guys slotting up where they were supposed to be, and they pitched decently, but like they'd be so much better if they were in their spots they're supposed to be. And you just don't know how much that positively affects the team as well. So great, great, great move for the Cubs.
Yeah, great move for the Cubs. And one last point I wanted to make about specifically their bullpen. They acquired Nate Pearson, I believe around the deadline. In his 26 innings for the Cubs, he had a 3.96 ERA. He had a great strikeout rate. Like this is a guy that has shown some upside. He's always been a top prospect in the Blue Jays organization. So I like that. I like that they're almost putting together a team that has a lot of upside. Like really in their bullpen, specifically, they got Tyson Miller. Nate Pearson showed some flashes. Peter Porter Hodge and Ryan Presley though, that's the lockdown. Good on the Cubs, man. You know you're trying to win. And on the Houston Astros side of this trade, I like that they've not fully committed to a rebuild, but they're still also trying to compete. So they're teetering that line, right? Between we're going all in and we're also selling. They're almost in the middle, and I'm not against this trade. I would have liked them to keep Ryan Presley, especially if they're trying to compete. But at the end of the day, it's a business. They're trying to save as much money because Ryan Presley's due for a big payday. Why not get something in return? So I understand the Houston Astros side of it. What do you think, though, Luke?
Well, I think in total they have like 70-ish, off the top of my head, like $70-ish million a year, just to the back three end of the bullpen, which is a lot because bullpens should not be that much in total. Such a volatile position, you don't pay that many people that much like that, especially with what's his name? They're like star closer. What's his name? I always forget people's names.
From what team?
The Brewers, Padres. What was his name? Lefty.
Brewers, Padres. Hader,
Josh Hader. they gave him like
gave him a bag,
$1 billion, and they just a lot of people in the back end of the bullpen. I don't think they're doing a rebuild. I think they open up money because I think they're gonna try to go get Alex Bregman. There talks with him. We'll talk about that later in the episode.
A little later.
But I think it just frees up money for them, and they're still in a good position. So we'll talk a little bit more about it when you talk about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bregman later in the episode.
Everyone, stay tuned. If you're a Houston Astros fan, wait on it. Don't worry. But
if you're an Astros fan, don't listen to this podcast. I hate you. No, I'm kidding.
Honestly, bro, that's common ground we share. You're a Mariner fan. You hate them for being a division rival. And sadly, I hate them for other reasons. I still won't forget about 2017, all right?
I hate Jordan Alvarez.
Robbie Ray, bro. Blame Robbie Ray. But you know what? We talked a lot about the NL Central, and we want to talk about something a little different today. We're going to be talking about a former Cy Young that came out of the NL Central, Trevor Bauer. This is a guy that I feel like he's always been in the back of our minds since he got suspended. Like, it's always been like, do you think Trevor Bauer ever came back? That was in 2021, people. This has been 4 years coming of like, what's the deal with Trevor Bauer? Trevor Bauer, instead of coming back to the major leagues like a lot of people hope he would, that's kind of like the consensus around baseball fans. Like, we want Trevor Bauer back. He goes back to Japan. He's back on the Bay Stars, who actually are coming off a championship. So I think that's kind of interesting. Bauer pitched for them, I believe, in 2023. I think he pitched for them in 2023, and he was pretty good. He actually put up pretty good numbers, especially in the second half. He looked like prime Trevor Bauer. So what do you think about Bauer? I obviously we're not going to be talking about a Japanese signing. Like we want to know, should Trevor Bauer come back to Major League Baseball, Lucas?
I think this all kind of sparked from his tweet. He's saying there are like 20 hitters on the planet that are true competition for me. I'd steamroll the rest of them. Wow. I think it's ridiculous. I think if he was, I think it's so ridiculous to be like, oh, he's getting blackballed, blah 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 blah. You deal with people who beat their wives and everything else in between and are still playing baseball or major league sports. Like that's not a problem. If you are good at this sport, you will play. A great example, Jalen Carter this past weekend, dominating the Commanders line. He killed 2 people in a car accident. He's still playing, okay? Like if you are good enough to play, you would be in the major leagues. Like he is not he's good, but like not major leagues. I just saw a tweet I've been holding on to it. It's from No More Fielders at No More Fielders to give him credit.
Shout out.
He made a list. There are 39 hitters with over 10 plate appearances and 1,000 OPS against Trevor Bauer. I have him right here. I'm gonna read you some names that you just like: Ben Revere, Mike Zanino, Mark Trumbo, Michael Saunders, Oswaldo Arcia. Just name some random like Kenny's Vargas. Like they're not. I'm not like naming you like top players. I'm naming you whatever. There was a tweet I saw in response to it. There's this random like old baseball player that was in the Mexican league he was in last year,
Mhm.
and he was like horrible in major leagues. And he took him deep like twice.
Right.
Like I don't like if he was good, he would be playing. Like it's not.
So you
He's
know
he's
what,
very
Luke?
entertaining, but
Right. I get. I actually. I think we can have a nice debate right now. I
mm,
take the other stance. I think he is good enough to pitch in the major leagues, Luke. I think he still has the stuff. I mean, this is a guy in 2021. Obviously, the year prior to 2021, he won the Cy Young. Granted, it was 60 games, but in those 60 games, he was like
mm,
ridiculous. If you look at his baseball reference page, like he was insane. But in 2021, the last time we saw him in the major leagues for the Dodgers, he pitched. He had a 3.1 WAR, 2.59 ERA. He finished 8-6. He had an ERA plus of 163, and his strikeout per nine was 11 and a half. And that was obviously 4 years ago. So what has happened since then? He pitched really great in Japan. That's probably the second best sport league in the world. Then he
mm,
goes to Mexico last year. If you look at his Mexican league stats, he like it looks like a video game. And then
mm,
I'm a big follower, or not, I wouldn't say a big follower, but I was very interested in those videos where he would break down every pitch of his start. So I would watch those. He was
mm,
dominating. Like I'm gonna be honest, he was just that much better than everyone else. And in that postseason, he like pitched 4 times in the championship series. He came out of the bullpen. He started like 3 of the games. Like it was insane. He has a
yeah.
crazy motor on him. He's obviously super entertaining. He's a big advocate for growing the sport, being involved with the fans, right? Trying to grow
Mm,
the game as much as he can. And I don't think that his talent is the reason why he's not in the major leagues. I definitely think I'm trying to word this correctly, but I do believe that there's a part of the Major League Baseball, maybe not all of it, that just doesn't want this guy around. He's a big distraction at the end of the day. He brings a lot of baggage. I think that's the perfect word. You
mm,
bring a guy into your organization, you're gonna be having your guys in the clubhouse with a camera in their face the entire time, right? You're gonna have all this extra noise because Trevor Bauer, what's the story? Every 5 days he's over there flipping off a coach. He's throwing gestures to the fans. That's going to be the story. Teams
yeah.
don't want that. Teams do not want that. They don't want
Mm,
that at all. And I think with this under his belt, obviously the sexual assault allegations for Trevor Bauer, with all that under his belt, although he might not have done it, there's still a lot of ongoing court cases. It's going to bring a lot
mm.
of press. It's going to bring a lot of, attention to your team. And I don't think teams are desiring that. I don't think they want that around.
They're like I do agree with that. Like he is a distraction, but also like made the with Major League Baseball, like good pitching is really hard to come by.
Mhm.
And like I said before, like people do this, like people don't do this exactly, but like other stuff all the time. They're in Major League sports.
Right.
And another major thing I want to point out is when he last played Major League Baseball, he's like 31. He's 34 now,
Yeah.
and he's old. And that's okay if you aren't as good as you were if you're 34. Like that's fine. Like he's getting older. Like I don't know if you saw the video against Christian Moore, the number 8th pick, went to the Angels where he got took deep. It's not that so much deep that I want to put like he hit a home run. Cool, that happens. He
Right.
threw like a meatball that's like 88 miles per hour right down the zone. Like this dude does not have it anymore, and that's okay. Like I don't. I loved him as a baseball player. He was very exciting to watch. I loved when he did the
The
sword
sword.
thing. That was entertaining. I still watch his highlights from like time to time.
Right.
But like if you were good, he had annex all the time, and he still was getting signed. He got signed to the Dodgers. He's getting picked up by teams. Like good pitching is hard to come by, and they will pick it up if you can still play. But he just can't. It sucks.
So you really think like he just doesn't? He cannot. He wouldn't be able to be like a sub 3 ERA guy. If
No,
he,
not at all.
sub
Sub
four.
three,
Sub four.
if maybe
I feel
I
like
don't
he's better than some of the
know.
pitchers in the league right now. No
I don't.
doubt. That's like a no
But
doubt kind of thing.
he's not a he. Like Chipper Jones said, he's not. I love what Chipper Jones calling him out. Like he's not
Right.
that good anymore. It's like,
Right.
and
He's
that's
definitely
fine. Like
not that good no more. I can agree with that. But I definitely feel like he could go help a team right now.
I don't know. I
You
don't
don't
think
think so?
so. No, I mean I don't
Wow.
really know enough about.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I'm some like savant. I'm not here watching his. I'm not watching his batting like throws in the batting cage. I'm not like
Right.
watching it like, oh, his rotation's down. Like I don't know that stuff off the top of my head. I don't know like, but I don't know like I don't. If you were good at baseball, you would be playing. Like I don't know.
Okay. I get what you're saying. I just want to you can add up to it, but I think this is my last point. I think with some of those other guys that have dealt with things like Ozuna, we've seen Chapman. These guys came back, right?
Mm-hmm.
For one, when they came back, it's almost like you don't even realize they're there again. You're like, oh, Ozuna's back. I feel like they were really quiet, and I think they almost silenced these guys. Listen, you've brought a lot of distraction. We're gonna bring you back. Trevor Bauer, it's not gonna be a quiet thing. It's gonna be noise. It's gonna be noise, and that's just the kind of guy he is. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because he's built his brand on being that vocal, loud guy, that loudmouth guy that loves taunting the other teams, things like that. Teams are like, you know what, man, we'll just take our chances somewhere else. So, yeah, that's what I think on my last kind of point about Trevor Bauer there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just came to like a conclusion.
Middle ground. But listen,
differing opinions.
I want to say this. Some of you people need to understand. Baseball is fine without Trevor Bauer. Major League Baseball has been fine the last like 3 or 4 years without Trevor Bauer. I don't think there's like a day that goes by where I'm like, damn, baseball needs Trevor Bauer right now. Like, I think baseball's been fine. I've been able to enjoy the sport without him there. Would it be nice to like? Would it be cool to just see him, like throwing a sword on like a Jose Altuve just because he cheated or something? Yeah, because there's really no one else in the sport that does it like him. But I think we'll all live, guys. I think at the end of the day, we need to move on. This is a 35-year-old guy that's pitching in Japan now. Like, let's just if it was any other 35-year-old that pitched in Japan, we'd be like, we don't gotta worry about
Whatever. Yeah.
it. Whatever. Yeah. All right. I like that, Luke. That was probably one of my favorite conversations we've had on this podcast, bro. Like that was a good time.
Because you and me agree so much on everything. Like we have similar takes.
Yeah,
So.
but this is another thing that I think especially people in baseball don't understand. Like especially on the internet, bro. When you disagree, me and Luke disagreed. I think Trevor Bauer still has enough in the tank to pitch. Luke doesn't really think so. We're not arguing, bro. We don't hate each other anymore. Like we're not calling each other names, bro. Like we're just having a discourse, and I think that's what baseball needs. Maybe all sports needs. Maybe life needs. But moving on. We're gonna go to the future, Luke. I think it's time we go to the future. We're gonna take everyone to the year 2030. There's a world of Major League Baseball where there's top 5 pitchers. Who are your top 5 pitchers by the time we hit 2030, Lucas?
Okay, first I want to give credit to Jack McMullen of Just Baseball. I love Just Baseball.
Shout out Just Baseball, bro. Shout out.
I love it. I watched them. I watched every episode. I listened to every episode. He had a really good tweet. He said, top 5 pitchers in 2030. Who are they? Ooh. So now I love prospects. I'm very nerdy. I like looking up stuff. I'm not like super into it, but it's just a fun exercise for me and Miguel to do. Yep. And number 5, of course, I gotta put him. He's one of my favorite pitchers, Bryce Miller. Ooh. This dude is dominant, and I mean, just coming off his last year. Did I not show you the thing of his stats compared to what's his name? I don't know.
I'm blanking.
Okay, let me just pull up the stats real quick so I can read it to you.
Okay, man.
Why does it say? I looked it up and it had someone else completely different pop up. Okay. It pulled up some Mexican dude. This dude's white as can be. Okay, last year. Okay, last year. He had a 2.94 ERA.
Okay.
171 strikeouts and a .98 WHIP. 4th best in baseball. Wow. And this dude is really good. His first year with the Mariners, he was really fastball dependent. That's all he really had. Mm-hmm. He couldn't really go on any other pitch, and so they adjusted to it. He got like clobbered. And then in the offseason, he works on a splitter to face lefties, and it becomes one of his best pitches. It leads into like what I said, 2.294 ERA and a .8 WHIP or 0.9 WHIP, whatever. Ridiculous. And then this year, he's working on a cutter, and he posted something onto Twitter a few days ago. I think I sent it to you.
Yep.
About the stuff. It looks gross, and just the way he's able to grow and like leap to new levels each offseason, like consistently, and just playing in Seattle, playing with Cal Raleigh behind the dish, one of the best defensive catchers in baseball, and he's still so young. He's still like in his early 20s. Like he's 26.
Right.
So he'd be around 30, 31. That's kind of you're kind of getting into your prime right there, like kind of like middle to end of your prime. And this is it's not really. I don't think he'll be top 5, but it's just I love Bryce Miller, and this is me banking on him continuing to develop. And
No,
just
I
grow
definitely
his,
think that he could be a top 5 pitcher, and I love that point you made that he's constantly working. He's adapting, and it almost feels like. Correct me if I'm wrong, Luke. I feel like a lot of guys are not really doing that anymore. Like there's not a lot of guys adding multiple new pitches throughout their career anymore. It's almost like you have what we have, and we're gonna work on making those specific pitches better, not really adapting and adding more. So I really like that aspect for Bryce Miller. I think that's interesting. Luke being a Mariner fan, he's educated me on how damn good the Seattle Mariner rotation is. Honestly, bro, you guys, the top 5 rotation could just be the Mariners 5 that they have right now. Like,
Yep.
it's crazy. It's really good. But for my 5, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. I'm still banking on Spencer Strider. I'm banking on him. I like his stuff. And obviously last year dealt with injury. Didn't really get much of him. He only pitched 9 innings. But in 2023, he was a 20-game winner. He had an ERA plus of 113. He had 281 strikeouts in 186 innings. I don't even got to continue. Do you realize how insane that is? Like, he's averaging almost like close to 2 strikeouts an inning. Like, he's got great stuff. And with it being until 2030, I don't think next year he's going to be that great because a lot of guys struggle to, kind of get back into their rhythm again after an injury, like I stated with Haseong Kim. But Strider, he's going to have a lot of time from now till then to develop. He's only 26 years old. Hoping that he doesn't get any more injuries, but his stuff is just so electric. The strikeout stuff, it's amazing. And by then, I'm hoping that he just gets more playoff starts under his belt and he just continues to grow.
I like him too. My only concern is injuries.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. Pitchers are so weird with injuries, so it's kind of hard to guess what they're gonna be in like 5 years. But this past year's coming off his second Tommy John surgery. Not many pitchers have done that and pitched well, so it's going to uncharted territory. We'll see what happens with him.
Yeah.
He's such a fun pitcher to watch, and I really hope he stays healthy. I hope he dominates this year. I don't know. Is he gonna be back at the beginning of the year? Is he like an all-star comeback all-star break guy?
I'm pretty sure he's coming back at the beginning of the year. If not, he might miss a couple weeks to start. But I'm hoping he's good.
I hope so. Baseball's better when he's
Yeah.
when he's on the top of his game.
It was fun. Him and that Phillies rivalry. That was fun. I like that.
Yeah, except he got blown up.
Throw the bat spike. Reese Hoskins, baby.
Slam in the bat. Okay, my number 4. And I don't know. I it's debate between these two people.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Yuri Perez at 4.
Ooh.
Real good. I don't know much about prospects, but this dude was 20 and had like a 3.84 ERA. Not this past year, 24, but 23. He's so young, and he can just throw so many pitches. And those are for strikes. Strikeouts are there, and he was injured this past year, but I just think he's gonna continue to take the next level. And in 5 years, he'll be 25, and he'll have like 5 years of baseball experience under his belt at 25, which is ridiculous. Right. And I just think he's gonna be just dominant. I think he'll just continue to grow and do his thing.
I like that. And I like that he's under a guy like Alcantara. Like, he's going to be able to learn. He's going to continue to get better. So I really like that. And I think it's a different approach than I took for my number 4. For my number 4, I'm going to take Roki Sasaki. And it might be a little early. Like 5 years from now, this guy's going to be, 28, I think? Something like that. But I'm banking on the Dodgers. Just making this guy a stud, dude. He's got the tools. It's like, bro, he literally has everything you want in a pitcher. He has velocity. He has movement. He has, like, a splitter. I feel like the splitter is such a desired pitch nowadays. Like, being able to throw that. He's got a wipeout, like, slider. Like, he's disgusting. He's got all the stuff. I'm hoping in 5 years the Dodgers can just help him put it all together. And something that I kind of wanted to talk about around that time is going to be when his contract comes up. So I feel like he's going to turn it on to another gear too, so he gets paid.
That's it.
That was my reasoning behind that.
My only thing is though, I think you don't know development wise he could be, but I think there's a higher chance of Yamamoto being better than he is in 5 years though.
You're gonna like my number 3 then.
Okay, my number. Okay, we'll talk about yours in a second. My number 3, Noah Schultz of the White Sox. You probably don't know him, but he grew this past year. At 20 years old, he's instead of being 6'9", he's 6'10", lefty, and he throws strikes. You're that tall, and you draft out of high school. You think there's some issues with the command. Nope. He really, really good command. Throws really hard. Has really good pitches. I don't really know much about him, but I listen to people who know what they're talking about, and they really have like high praise for him. And I just think like a tall lefty, he's basically like a Randy Johnson, same height and everything too. Like, I think he's gonna dominate, and I think in 5 years, when that White Sox team is gonna be competitive, I think that's kind of when their rebuild is kind of aiming for around there. He'll be really good then. And I'm just kind of banking on just the size, like how gigantic he is at 6'10". Like, I'm just hoping like that'll carry him all the way there.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I didn't really know much about him. Luke told me to look him up. This guy is Randy Johnson 2.0, bro. Like I gotta see like I'm gonna ask you because you probably know. Like, is his arm slot really funky too? Being that tall.
Honestly have no idea. I just learned about him recently.
You're banking on the stats or on
I'm banking on he's gigantic and he can throw strikes.
And he's
really
a lefty.
fast.
And he's a lefty. That's what
I love lefties. Lefties are such a fun pitchers to watch. Like, especially when you have that sidearm lefty. Like, it's ridiculous. Sure. Like almost like a Chris Sale. Like, I love the Chris Sale's motion, or like Sean Manaea, what he was doing.
Guy.
He's on my list. Even like watching Sean Manaea warm up when he's doing like the catcher on the opposite side. Like, that was fun to watch. Just seeing a lefty just throw it at your sidearm.
Yeah, so for my number 3, Luke had to go ahead and just freaking ruin it for everyone by spoiling it. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and listen, guys, I promise I'm not trying to be biased, but I genuinely believe
Dodgers fan bias.
Dude, I promise, all right? Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I genuinely mean this. He's my favorite pitcher to watch. Like, just watch him pitch. Like, obviously, I'm a Dodger fan, so I watch more Dodger games. But I just love when he's on the mound because I know he's just going to fill up the strike zone. He's going to throw that nasty splitter to righties and lefties. And it's just so... I just love watching a guy throw a good splitter. It's so satisfying. He's coming off a year where he was really kind of shaky. Then he got injured. Then when he came back, he was really good. And his postseason run, people are not really like talking about that. He was really good. Besides his first postseason start, he was really good. That Game 5 of the NLDS, he was really good. His one start in the NLCS, and obviously his one start in the World Series, like, he was really, really good. And I think he's almost built a career off being a big game pitcher and being on the Dodgers for these next 5 years. He's going to pitch in the postseason every single year. I think he's going to build that reputation, you know, kind of like a Madison Bumgarner kind of guy that's just like, when he's on the mound in October, look out. So I'm banking on him.
He's one of my favorite, like, motions to watch.
Oh yeah,
like where he does the little back setup and I know, like, learning about him, like he like in the off season stuff, he throws like he's throwing a javelin, which is such a cool, interesting thing. Like, cause it doesn't wear on your elbow as much in your arm, and it's such like an interesting motion the way he steps back. Like, I went and watched him last year. It's a game against the Marlins when they're like, oh, perfect game watch, and then Jazz lead off home run. That was so funny to watch because I didn't hear it on the broadcast. Like, I heard it when I got home, which was funny. But he's just such a nice motion to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that is definitely your Dodgers bias. You know, every time I post an episode or we post an episode on my story, like, all my Mariner friends will respond and be like, "Oh yeah, Dodger fan here doesn't think Dodgers are bad for baseball or whatever." Like, he always.
Hey, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, but listen, bro. We grew up like it's like, bro. We live different, bro. We've lived different lives, baseball wise. Like, we've watched the same sport, but like we see it different. All right.
Different. I'm a fan of a poverty franchise where I'm just like, please just make the postseason.
But listen, guys, listen. I'll say this. The bandwagon is always open. I'm never one to judge a bandwagon. I'm never one to judge a bandwagon.
When's the last time the Dodgers haven't won the division?
2021. The Giants beat us that year for the division.
Oh yeah.
But we got them in the playoffs, so it was all right.
Wait, how many times? Okay, how many times in your lifetime, as a baseball fan, have they not won the division? Or when's the last time they didn't make the playoffs?
2012.
so ridiculous. That's
No,
so
but listen, you know what's
ridiculous.
actually insane? My first, like, I remembered it, like, growing up real young, but my first, like, real memory of watching baseball was us clinching the 2013 division. So, like, bro,
Oh.
pretty much my entire life of me watching all the games that I remember, I've seen the playoffs. But listen, bro, we've been through pain too, just in different ways.
We talk
Like-
about this every time. Every time we talk about baseball, like our teams, it's the same thing. You do that, and I do the same. Oh, we made the playoffs almost every year my entire life. Oh God, you know how many times they made the playoffs once?
I'm
You know how
sorry,
many times
bro.
they won the division my entire life? Zero times.
I actually, bro, this year with me and Luke becoming like really good friends, bro. I'm a Mariner supporter. Like I want y'all to do good. I want y'all to do good. But
Yeah.
we got to go to number 2, Luke. Who do you got?
My number 2 is Garrett Crochet of the newly White Sox. Speaking of lefties, I love him as a lefty. Dominant last year. He was the number 1 K per 9, I think, at like 12. Some ridiculous, like 12 or whatever. Like it was nuts. I think like halfway through the season, he was like leading baseball in like strikeouts. He's on an insane pace, but he just kind of like tapered off end of the year. He was a reliever before this, so he never pitched that many innings before, and they want to save him a little bit because they want to save their value and not want to blow out his arm for a trade. But
Yep.
this dude's just dominant. I think he's gonna be really he's one of those pitchers the next 5-6 years. You're just gonna be like, yeah, that guy is one of the best pitchers in baseball, and I think he's gonna be able to contend for a Cy Young for the next 4 or 5. Like he's gonna be up there. I wouldn't be surprised if he won it next year, and I think just pitching with the Red Sox. I think their future is so bright,
Yeah.
and I think pitching with a team like that is only gonna make you be better when you have a team around you, and also playing in a big market like that. Like Red Sox, like that stadium is like beautiful to like just like beautiful to the eyes just to watch there, and then passionate fans, and then you're gonna competing for the playoffs for the next as long as you're with that team. Like that, I think the ceiling is really high for him, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if he was number 2. So
I like that point you make. I think pitchers get better when they're pitching for teams that are like always in contention, and I think that almost bolsters development because they're constantly in the big game. They know what it takes to feel that atmosphere. My number 2 though, and speaking of finally reaching the big game, Tariq Skubal is going to be my number 2. This is a guy that finally got that postseason under his belt. He's coming off the Cy Young. Enough said. This guy is disgusting. It was pretty much in the postseason for the Tigers this year, bro. Like, don't let the Tigers win any game that Tariq Skubal doesn't pitch in because you guys might lose a series. And it's crazy. That strategy almost got them to the championship series. Like, literally, bro, just throw Skubal in. If we're going to have Skubal 2 times a series, we'll win those 2 games. It's kind of crazy to think, though, the game 5 that they had Skubal pitched and they lost. But it's okay because this guy's amazing. He's like really good.
Dominant.
He's got nasty stuff. Guys like that take over games. Garrett Crochet's got that kind of stuff. I think Tariq Skubal's got that kind of stuff. He's going to be a little bit on the older side. He's going to be the oldest guy that I brought up, 33 years old by then. But he's only really taken off the last couple years, so I think he's still got a lot of prime left. That's why I got him at number 2.
yeah, the only reason I think he was left on my list just because he was going to be older. Like he was right there. Like he'd probably be number 6 for me, but I think I like Crochet better. And also he would be my 5 if I wasn't such a Bryce Miller fan, probably. I just wanted him on the list.
Mariner biased.
Mariners biased. Number 1
It's okay to
should
be biased. Oh, sorry. What was your number 1?
No, I was gonna say it's biased. Whatever. It's hard to be biased when my team sucks. But number 1, and this should be no debate for both of us. Paul Skeens is coming at number 1. I mean, there's no other pitcher.
I'm just kidding.
There's no other pitcher for number 1 than Paul Skeens. Like this dude is ridiculous. Like there's nothing I need to say that you already don't know as a baseball fan. Like this dude is nuts, ridiculous. That Splinker. I love the pitcher. I love the pitch called Splinker. Like just ridiculous. They were doing an interview with him and whatever his girlfriend's name is. Like who could do better like in each other's sport, and they asked, "Oh, do you think she could throw a splinker?" And I thought that was so funny. I'm like, "There's no one else on the planet who could throw a splinker. Why are you asking if Livy can throw a splinker?" Like it's just I thought it was stupid, but just his command, everything he does, is just so good. Also, just like the eye test of just his aura's off the charts.
All
you know,
right,
as a
bro.
pitcher. I find like there's how many pitchers do you really find yourself not even as like a baseball fan, like as a baseball fan, I'll turn on games just to watch pitchers. But like casual fans, like I got my dad. He's like looking up when the next Paul Skeens start is, so he can watch. So we can watch him. Like he is like he gets everyone going to want to watch him. Like, and I love it.
I'm gonna say this, bro. Paul Skeens, this is gonna be our generation's like, I don't even know, Pedro, all the greats. Just think of the great pitchers, bro. This guy's gonna be that. What planet does a guy get drafted? Not even a year later, he's in the major leagues, and in his one season, he started the All-Star game, was top 3 in the Cy Young. He had an ERA under 1, and he had a 6 WAR in 23 starts.
Ugh, so gross,
bro. I'm telling you right now. I had this conversation with my dad. It's crazy. I tell him eventually they're gonna have to like, figure him out, right? Because if he's this dominant and he's only gonna get better being only 22 years old, like how is anyone ever gonna stop him from just having like the Cy Young every year? I can't see it, dude. Like it's crazy. He's just that good, and I think obviously in 5 years he's gonna be one of the best pitchers of all time. It's like I'm just gonna say that right now. He's that good. He's that talented. He's got all the stuff, and something I love about him, he just throws strikes like that. It's so crazy that we've lost the art of just throwing strikes being so valuable. Like he just pounds the zone. He gets ahead of hitters, and he's so dominant that he just has no fear. He has no fear. Paul Skeens is the real deal. He's a genuine number 1, and I'm so excited to see like in 15 years from now, when it's all said and done and Paul Skeens' career is coming to an end, I think we could be talking about one of the best of all time.
I think that wouldn't be crazy to say, like because especially since he's pitching at such a younger age. Like, how old is he? Do you know off the top of your head by chance? 22. Like, yeah, that's baseball getting at 22 is nuts, especially at such a high level right away. Like, you think, oh, there's some bumps. Okay, it's your first year. Oh no, I'm gonna go pitch to an under 1 ERA.
Dude, and it's not fair. It's like what 22-year-old does this?
Also, another thing too, like I love watching like a pitcher, like their mechanics and that, like it's so smooth and it looks so effortless. He throws 100, it throws over 100, and it looks just so effortless out of his hand. Yeah. Another guy who throws so effortlessly, Brian Wu. I wanted to put him on the list.
Shout out Brian Wu.
Number 1 fastball thrower in baseball.
I love that, dude. I love that.
I want to mention.
No, Brian Wu, I thought that Brian Wu love is always welcome here.
Yeah, Brian you have to mention all your Dodger starters. You mentioned 2. I have to mention 2.
No, dude, I'm like really thinking though, and like looking into it. Paul Skeens really is like gonna be one of the best, bro. Like, it's just he's old. He's already like, bro. At 22, most guys are like, okay, he had an okay year, but he's like showed signs. This guy is literally getting production, and he's only gonna get better because that's what people do when they're 22. By the time they're 28, they're studs. Like, bro, I cannot believe this. The Pittsburgh Pirates, I'm gonna look you guys in the eye. Don't fuck it up, all right? You get Paul Skeens is the real deal.
They already are though. They asked him about contract extensions. Like, oh, we haven't talked about that at all.
He'll be a Dodger. Don't worry, he'll be a Dodger. He'll be a Dodger. Speaking of, free, what happened, bro?
That's what I like. It's so like small market teams like that. I'm just thinking about it. Like, I just imagine like Cal Raleigh, like Mariners thing. I'm like, God, if I see him in a Yankees uniform, like a Dodgers uniform in a few years, I'm gonna throw up. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, so speaking of free agents, I want to finish the show talking about these guys. We could go over it pretty quickly if you want. Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman. Just to give context for everyone, the recent stories are this. On Pete's side, Steve Cohen's pretty much tired. Like, that's the context. He basically went on and said, these negotiations are exhausting me. So I don't know what that has to do with, like, I don't know how that is going to affect Pete in this free agent market. But Alex Bregman, his new story about like where he's gonna go is Jose Altuve's over there practicing at the Crawford box in left field, and Isaac Paredes is gonna pretty much go to second. Alex Bregman's gonna play third. Real quickly, Luke, what do you got with that?
Actually, if anything, they moved Bregman to second.
Really? Okay.
Bregman's not a great defender at third anymore.
Really? So I've been hearing Paredes. Maybe it is Bregman then. Like, you think that Bregman should be the guy?
Bregman's played at second before. He's played at the middle. Like,
he seems a little more athletic too.
Yeah, and he's more like a second baseman. Paredes is not a great defender, and I don't think he could play second. He maybe
Yeah,
could, but
it's a big
I
boy
think
at second.
Big boy, Bregman would probably be the move to second, and that'd be such a good get for the Astros. It kind of throws their plans in a weird way because they kind of figured out the replacement with Paredes and
Yeah,
Walker,
yeah,
and then they're able to get a guy like Cam Smith who's going to be up in a year, so he can kind of like fit mix around that, whatever. But like, if you could get Alex Bregman back, you're going to get him because he's just an Astro. Like he's just a guy that you want to re-sign,
hmm
and he makes the lineup so much better. And we're kind of talking about earlier about if are the Astros rebuilding or like what are they doing. I think what they've done is they've done it well. Like you have such superstar like Kyle Tucker who you know you're not gonna be able to re-sign. He's gonna get like $400 million, and just to pivot that to get a guy like Paredes who's gonna fit so well with your stadium, and then a good prospect like Cam Smith, and able to go out and go sign a great first baseman and Walker, and then able to go trade from his position of where you already have a lot of relievers, and then be able to maybe bring back Alex Bregman or just
yeah.
free up some money so you're not so tied down with like the CBA, not CBA, but like tax stuff because they don't want to go into the tax threshold. They're like right there. So because they couldn't keep Presley and get Bregman back, so it opens up a lot of moves for them if they want to do. It'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see what they do. I know reports are also coming out about the Mets. Mets should talk about him as well.
Yeah.
Tigers a little bit, but I don't think he's gonna go to the Tigers because that just doesn't fit for both of them. Tigers already have a lot of infielders, and he would be horrible in that stadium. He really is reliant on the Crawford boxes
Yeah.
in Houston. So, what do you think? What do you think?
So my take on both of these guys is I think they've both kind of overvalued themselves going into this free agency. If you look
Mm-hmm.
at the stats, Alex Bregman's probably coming off one of his worst seasons of his career,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants the 200 million. Like these are two guys. Same with Pete. Like Pete wanted Prince Fielder money, and he's just nowhere near like what Prince Fielder was able to like accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
They've overvalued themselves. Are they both Scott Boras guys?
I
I know
know
Pete
for
is.
sure Pete. I don't know about
Okay,
Scott.
I don't know. I don't know about
Scott, I know
Bregman.
about Bregman.
Yeah. So we don't know about Bregman, but whatever agent they got, for he's got two, it's bad. Like you guys need to lower yourselves, and I think these are going to be guys that end up settling. And when you settle, you come crawling back to your team, man. So they're both. I think that they're both just going to go back to where they were. I think.
I don't.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't know
you couldn't
about.
live
I
with your
don't.
own failure. Where'd that lead you? Back to me, bro. They're going back.
I
They're
don't know
going
about the
back.
Mets though with Pete Alonso because I think he's still gonna. The last thing I may have heard, I don't know if it's a rumor or if it was a thing. I know they're saying like a lower deal of like 3 years. I saw 3 for 80.
Mhm.
I don't know because I know they wanted like 6 for 200. So,
Jesus, dude.
but I would totally get like a higher AAV contract with like opt outs
Yeah.
to where you can hit the market next year or the year after that where you're like, hey, look, I'm still doing it. And also,
Carlos Correa did that, right? He had a similar contract like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people have Jock Peterson.
Yeah.
I mean, not Jock Peterson.
Our boy
His
Trevor
friend-
Bauer.
Not not Jock Peterson. Same Dodgers thing. Dodgers guy.
Seager? No, that's
No,
Seager.
what's his name?
Aw, dude.
He's a Yankee now. He's a Yankee now.
Belly.
Belly. He had the same thing with the Cubs. I think that'd be a good deal for them. And you know what I hate? You know what makes it even like worse in my soul? 3 for 80, and the Mariners can't cough up that money to go get him. The Mariners can't cough that money. Go like, hey, Alex Bregman for 3 for 80 instead of $200 million for 6 years. Sign him now, please. It's pissing me off that the Mariners refuse to do anything, and it's not even like the Mariners' fault. It's John Stanton.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a bounty out for his murder for ransom. Please go get him. I'm kidding.
That
was sarcasm.
Point about the
in
Mariners.
Minecraft.
Minecraft, everyone. YouTube, sorry. Quick point about the Mariners, though. With all their pitchers being around the same age, do they not understand that there's a window where they're all going to probably become free agents all within the same couple years? Like, they need to start either extending those guys or realize, listen, our window is really small with these young pitchers that we have. We need to win now. And I think if they kind of get through that mindset of Bregman, of Pete Alonso, that'd be a great pickup for them. Because if we're being honest, a big bat is all they were really missing from the playoffs last year. Like it's crazy to think about.
They just need to. I like the front five of their lineup, or like 4 or 5. Like I'm happy with that. That's like a playoff ish like with that rotation, the front five is fine.
Yep.
But the back of it, we don't have a first baseman, first base, second or third. If we could get a Pete Alonso in that lineup, it would make things so much better. This dude averages like 30, 40 home runs a year, 100 RBIs. Like this dude is good, and I think people are kind of like underselling him. I know like he's coming off not a great year for him, and he's kind of like steadily declined since his rookie year. But this dude is good. He still is gonna, like I said, hit you 30, 40 bombs, driving a bunch of runs. Like this dude can hit at the top of the lineup for a World Series team, and it sucks for him.
Yeah.
That he had such high hopes for his contract. But
I feel bad, man. They both went into this like, yeah, give me my 200
million.
Yeah, we'll be done. So someone's gonna have to settle, and I don't think it's gonna be the teams. So I definitely think these guys are gonna end up.
We should do a prediction.
Okay, let's end that with that. Pete Alonso, where's he going?
Blue Jays.
Mets.
Blue Jays are gonna be stupid and go get him. I
wouldn't hate it.
No, but they don't need him. You know what they need to do is re-sign Vladdy. They need to go give him an extension immediately.
Actually, that's a good point. Very good point.
I think that's a good reason why they're not signing free agents. Is like, okay, what's the future? You can't even sign your homegrown talent, who's one of the best players in baseball.
What are you talking about, man? They have Anthony Santander for 5 years now. They're good.
Yeah, with a bunch of deferral money. Your favorite.
That's true. So Bregman, where's he going?
I think he's gonna go to the Astros. I think
in the
the Ryan Presley deal kind of like put that in stone. Like, hey, they're confident. They're giving up. They're freeing up money to go get him. I don't think it would make sense for them. I mean, I get it. Like team wise, like, hey, that's Alex Bregman. We want him on the team again. But you kind of already found replacements for him in the future, and I don't know. Like, is he gonna be able to continue his production? He's gonna dip down a little bit. You would want to put that money somewhere else. I'm sure you want to go re-sign Framber Valdez. You're gonna want to make moves future wise. Like, I don't think putting money towards Alex Bregman is a good thing for them. I wish maybe the Mets would go do that. Maybe the Mets will cough up the money instead of getting Pete Alonso. They get him and then move Mark Vientos to first. But I think it'll be those two teams. I don't know. I don't think the Tigers are gonna put money into it. I don't think he wants to go to the Tigers either.
Especially this late in the offseason. If they were gonna commit to something like that, it'd be now. It would have been early.
Yeah, and I think they just got a reliever today for like $7 million, so they already spent more money on top of him, and then
we'll see, man. It's crazy. Like, same with Jack Flaherty. Like, these guys are genuine contributors to a team, and there they are, just rotting away. So
also, just knowing baseball, it'll be something different. Like, if I told you at the beginning of the offseason that Haseong Kim's going to go to the Rays,
they'd be like, bro, the Rays spent that much money? Are you kidding me?
Really? I thought he would go to more of a competitive team. I thought he was going to go to the Blue Jays before they got Jimenez, but
yeah.
What can you do?
It'll be interesting. But I want to end on this. Look out for the Angels. I think this is an Angel-esque move. I'm so serious. Like, for them to end up with like a Jack Flaherty or a Pete Alonso, it's just such an Angel thing to do.
I think they could definitely get a Jack Flaherty because I know he likes LA.
Yeah. So look out for that. All right, Luke. I think we covered everything. Bro, that was a great episode. I had fun.
That was a great episode.
I love this, bro. I have so much fun. It's a good time.
Me too.
Alrighty, man. So shout out everyone. Me and Luke actually did back-to-back weeks of a podcast, so that's something to be excited about. Let's go, baby. Let's try to stay hot next week. Hopefully, we have some signings to talk about, and we'll see. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Go to TikTok, go to Instagram, catch all the clips.
This is my guess. This is my prediction. Next episode, we're gonna be talking about Nolan Arenado traded to the Seattle Mariners.
Ooh, oh boy. All right, Luke. Let's get you to bed, Grandpa.
I'm tired.
All right, man. See you guys.